Okay, guys, I think we are up. If we are not up, tell me, Carlos, please. I think we are online. So, guys, hello, everyone. Welcome, first of all, to our 8th meetup and the 5th one in the as a remote event. And this one, actually, it's an extra special event. It's our 1st anniversary. So today, it's the day that we did 1 year since the launch of this community of Porto.Vue. So we decided to make it an extra special event with some surprises and with extra special guests. Okay, so first of all, I would like to make the introduction that we are used to make at the beginning. So for those that are new to this community and didn't hear about it, so what is PortoVue? PortoVue, it's a common effort to create a community around the people who love or are interested about Vue.js and want to share their knowledge, their curiosity with other people in the city of Porto. But in fact, this community has grown abroad, and we are having the most recent events people from London, from Austria, from Brazil, which has been amazing for us. What is the main purpose of PortoVue? The main purpose here is to share knowledge, challenges, and experiences between us. And the meetups usually happen every month with different hosts, different locations, and different speakers. Since we got the restrictions from the COVID-19, we didn't follow up strictly this month and different hosts because we have several constraints. We can't host these meetups on a physical locations. We have to host it in remotely, okay? But fortunately, we have different speakers along this way. And we've been quite successful building this community and creating, joining a lot of people around these events in a monthly basis. We still obviously looking for speakers to join these events. We already have some people interested in to talk in the next year, but we are looking for more. Okay, so if you are interested and you want to talk in this event, or I mean in the next event, please talk to us. Don't be shy. There is first timers, people that are very used to talk, to not talk. You will have our support and in materials, in ideas, and in training if you need so. Oops, I think there is something wrong here. Yeah, so if you need to get in contact with us, you have the following channels. You have the Meetup page, you have our Twitter, you have our Slack, and you have Porto Vue Gmail to get in direct contact with us. Today, since we have our first anniversary, actually Vue Mastery decided to sponsor us and to offer a free license of 1 year valued in around $190 to one of our attendees to this event. So how are you going to make the draw of this gift? We will collect the names of all people joining our Zoom call, okay? And we'll gather that in an Excel sheet numbered by people that joined us. So if you're watching this event through YouTube stream, please join us in the Zoom call so you can be chosen to this draw. Okay, by the end of the event, we will gather all the names that joined us on Zoom, and we will randomize one of the candidates. Okay, get a random number, and hopefully there will be a winner to get the prize. Then after that will be pretty easy. We will pick up your email, send it to Vue Mastery, and you will immediately have access to 1 year license for free. Okay. So, and without taking much more time from you guys, let's jump for the exciting talks we have today. So, as I said in the beginning, we have special guests on this event. First, it's Vinicius Neves from VueFloripa Community. So it's the first time we have someone from the community, a Brazilian community, to talk at our event. He is going to talk about Go Async in Viewtree with Suspense. And after that, we will have someone we are actually trying to find for a long time. So someone from the Vue Core Team, which surprisingly it's Portuguese, okay? And it's Carlos Rodrigues. And he's going to talk about Viewtree and the developer experience around it, okay? So I think we have two great talks with two very experienced people, and I think you will have a great time along this end of afternoon, okay? So before jumping into the first talk, I would like just to thank everyone. Okay, I would like to thank first of all Vue Mastery for sponsoring this event. It's the first time we have an external sponsor, and it was really great for us to have the chance to gift one of you guys with their help. I would like to also thank InfraSpeak, which have been helping us with this event and paying some of our bills, okay, because we have some costs related to this event. So and InfraSpeak has been helping us in sponsoring us since the beginning, okay. And I also would like to thank everyone that's in this event, and special thanks to Carlos and Vinicius to join us from so far away from our country, okay, from London in this case, and from Brazil, and we are very, very thankful for you for you to join us, okay. So without losing much time, I would like to start with presenting Vinicius. So Vinicius, if you can, just start your talk and share your presentation, please.
Okay, I'll do so. Thank you very much. I need to, could you stop sharing so I can start
yeah.
my, okay. Let's see how it goes. Cool.
Yeah, it's working.
I think it's working. Yes. Okay, nice. So first of all, hello everyone, and thank you for the introduction. First, I would like to introduce myself. Okay, my name is Vinicius. You can call me Vinny. I come from Brazil, Florianopolis, from the community of VueFloripa. But I currently live in Berlin, Germany. I work there in a company called Hyundai that works on the real estate business, and we do Vue most of the time. Let's put it like that. But currently, I'm having a vacation back home, so that's why it's sunny outside. Okay. Without further ado, let's jump in. So the name of the talk is Go Async and Viewtree with Suspense. So from my end, Suspense no, but Viewtree brings a lot of new features for for us. And one of the features that it brings is called Suspense, which is not the most well-known feature. The most well-known, I would say, is Composition API, but Suspense plays nicely with a Composition API, and I would like to show Will well how it works and why I think it's cool. So just as a side note, Viewtree got released a while ago, but got released like this year and introduced like a bunch of new features. Here we have like the full like release note from it. And you can see that like Suspense was introduced, but it's still like experimental feature, and most probably be like solid in 3.1. The API can change over time. It actually changed since the first time I used it, but I'm gonna go through it step by step. So first, like what is Suspense? If we take like the Wikipedia definition of Suspense, there's like a long and beautiful, like let's say, paragraph. But if we take it's like what is in bold in this paragraph is state of uncertainty, and if we translate state of uncertainty to like let's call it a view word, it's basically like how we handle this uncertainty in components, basically like when it's ready to be rendered or not. Let's frame it like this way. So uncertainty in like in let's call it view way is like when things are ready to be rendered or not. Let's frame it like that, and you're gonna understand what I mean in a second. So I'm gonna open this repo by the end, still private, and I'm gonna go actually through like this sample project and try to show you like what I did there and how like I translated like one application from like let's call Vue2 style to Viewtree with Suspense. Okay, let me start closing the tabs, otherwise I get lost. Okay, the application is one. I think you can see my code editor or not. Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So the application is quite simple. If we demo it here, it's just an application that loads, okay, first page here, and then you can click and check the weather of a certain location using like an API. And if we click here, we have like loading, and after loading, we render the weather on that location. And if we have like well, like fake location, it loads and it shows error. Okay, that is pretty much it. The application starts, okay, app.js, just like a router view here. And then we have like the two main routes, like this index route. That's just how like a router link to like this other route, route here. That's like the city route, and the city route, oh gosh, has like something quite simple. It has like okay, three components here, like a loading component, a success component, and an error component, which basically like the loading shows like the loading state. There's no fancy thing here. It's just like a loading paragraph. The success, as simple as well, is just like showing the weather, and like the error one is just like a paragraph of error. That's pretty much it. And what we do here, basically we have like, okay, states, and then what we do, we get like the city as like a prop. And then once like this component is created, we fetch the city weather, and then with like the city weather fetched, okay, we success with like the weather data that we fetched, or we error if something failed. Okay, you could achieve like the same with like state machines or whatever. It's interesting, but I want to dive into how we can make this example, I would say, simpler and like a domain focus using like Suspense. Instead of live coding, I have like some pre-made like pull requests where we can go into just a second. Yeah. Okay, so the first part is that I want to show you is like, okay, let's start making this this component, this like city page with Viewtree. I mean, it works like that in Viewtree, but let's make usage of Viewtree and composition API. And here's like the first pull request. It's going to be all in the VITA weather app repo, and like each pull request you can go into and check what has changed. But first part is like, okay, we want to use like the setup function that's like provided by like composition API. And in order to do so, we want to like get rid of created, methods, computed, and data, for example, that we have defined here. So everything we want to move into one single setup function. And then with that, we're gonna be using like ref and computed like utilities from Vue to make it work. If we open the file change, the big first, I would say, big difference that we get rid of all this like properties inside this exported object, and we have one single property called setup. It get our props, same as like before, like the props are defined like the same way. And what basically changes, like, okay, what's in data here becomes like those two lines. So like those two like refs here. The refs are being ported at the top of the script. And then everything that's computed became like all those computed entries here, exactly the same naming. And then like this created with like this method became like this, okay, immediately invoked function here on the body. And what I did is just basically, okay, I rename some variables and I use like the props.city that comes as a parameter here as an argument, so we can pass the property inside. And then by the end, the only, I would say, difference on how we do like the setup method here, we have to return what we want to use in our template, basically. And then we return it, and then we can keep the same, exactly the same HTML, let's put it like that, that we have inside this template tag. So if I go here and I go for the first part, we're gonna see, okay, those things changed, but the template still like keeps like the same. Okay, so here what we did, first step, moved from like Vue 2 to Vue 3 style on this page. Okay, let's go to the second one. The second one, we make usage of Suspense. That's like the new thing that I just mentioned. And what we do is like, okay, we get rid of this async function that I showed first that we have here. This async function, like a fetch city weather, and we do like a async setup method instead. So that's like one difference. And we use like Suspense to handle this async setup that we created. And we're gonna see that we lose the loading state. So one thing that Suspense bring to us is a way to handle like this async like setup functions. And what I like about it is it's like a standard, let's say like we can kind of standardize this pattern that we see in a lot of applications, like is it loading, so show loading component. Is it success, so show success component. Is it error, so show error component. So the idea is like with Suspense, you can abstract this state logic and keep like the only domain that's interested inside. So on the city component, what's the only thing that we are interested is like on the success itself and not on like handling all those other corner cases. So we keep like the domain separately. So let's look at what's changed, what has changed here. Okay, so first part, let's go down. On the city component, okay, we got rid of this async function fetch city weather, basically. And then like, okay, and that was pretty much it. But as now it's a async setup function, we have to tell basically Vue like, okay, wait until this promise is like fulfilled. Well, let's put it like that, or like this component is ready, and then you can render it. The way you do is let's abstract this router view for a second. You have like a suspense component that's built in, and you just have like a default template that you can use, and you put this component inside. The component that's inside here is the one that returns or has this async setup. And then using Suspense, it's basically saying like, okay, let's wait until this async setup is resolved, and then let's render it. This is one thing that changed since the release, since the first time I played with Suspense. Just like as a side note here, before we could achieve like the same thing using just like that suspense template router view inside, but do some like recent changes. Here you can see like if you're interested to dive deeper, you can go to this issue and read what has changed. Basically, but it changes how Suspense works a bit. Here was the when it changed. I think it was release candidate 11. So it changed a bit like the usage itself, and that's why we wrap it like that. So router view on like here's the documentation for router view router 4. It has like a exposed like vslot, and you can grab the component that's going to be rendered inside this router view and do something like component is this component, and that's basically how we render this view here inside the router view and the component and Suspense. This is just like I would say a short note about it. But what happens now is that with this approach, I mentioned that we lost the loading state. And why do we lose the lost the loading state? Is because this component is only rendered when it's resolved, and it gets like resolved only after we await and set up all these things. So only once we have a state of success of state of error fulfilled. Okay, someone is drawing on the screen, but it's fine. If we go check out for two, yeah. Okay, I don't know how to clean it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Disable annotation. Yeah. Okay, I think it's done. So I just clear the annotation. Okay, so with part 2, now this is like it's still like running, and then if I go like for example Porto here, you see that we didn't get like the loading state anymore. So if I put like a Berlin, for example, here, there's no loading state. It renders directly. That's what I mentioned, because on this case, we wait until this, let's call setup function is resolved before rendering something, which means that we do not render with like the loading state from the ground start. So our next step is like, okay, we made usage of Suspense, but now let's fix our loading state. So there's something on Suspense that's called Fallback template, and that's what you can use to like fix or like show a fallback on this case like loading state. So how does it look like? If we go back here, we can get rid of this loading state, everything that's related to loading, and use the fallback template here to load to show like the loading component in this case. So right now, the loading state is not like a concern or for like our city component. It's handled by some parent, by someone else. So like a city component is getting like a smaller and focusing in one single thing. That's like its success state, what we want to render, and like loading and handling states is handled by someone else. In this case, Suspense. There's like this timeout 0 here that you can see. It's also part of this update. You can read more about it, but if you go on like Suspense component in the Vue repo, you see something like, okay, if you have like a timeout, it shows the fallback. If you don't have a timeout, it's not going to show like the fallback state. So you put a timeout, in case 0, so it shows the fallback immediately. So if we go back here and go part 3, if I'm not wrong. Oh, okay, you could already see it. So let's go back to the main view. Okay, here we don't have like loading or nothing. It doesn't have like async setup. If we go here, we see like the loading again, and then by the end, we see like the weather, the outcome of our fetch city weather. Okay, that was like one thing. Now what's missing, basically, let's move a step further. It's like, okay, how we handle errors. Sorry? How we handle errors. So to handle errors, there's no default, I would say, template syntax that we can use as we could use for fallback. There's like a thread that it's been like discussed. I think I don't have it open here, but there's a thread on like an issue on GitHub where they are discussing some possibility to do so. But you can use like one of the hooks to capture errors. So there's like this on error capture hook. And then this way we can remove like the error logic from the page component and have it on an upper scope. So let's go down here. So first thing, okay, we want to get rid of like everything that is related to error. So we get rid of all the states, so on and so forth. And we won't do like any error handling here. We're gonna let our parent component, in this case our app.vue file, to handle all this thing. So how it's done on that end. So this app.vue file, what it does, it also has like its setup method. It has like, okay, like a error like variable, similar to, not similar, but it's like this error that we are catching here, for example. And then what it does, it has like this hook. It exposes this hooks like on error capture, which means that whenever like a child or children that didn't handle the error throws an error, it's captured here. Sorry. Okay.
I have it.
Okay. It's.
I think someone unmuted.
What will be the third line?
Yeah.
I think. Can we mute?
I think
I don't know how to mute people. But yeah, I'll keep going.
Mute everyone. As a host, you can mute everyone.
Okay, so we have like the on error capture here, which you capture errors that happen on like child component. So this one, once as we are not catching the error anymore, it's going to be thrown, and once it's thrown, it's captured here, and then we have like this error like reference, and then the error like has something like this. So it's just like a condition here that we put like with the if error, and then if we have error, is show the error. Otherwise, we show like the suspense, and we handle whatever is inside. So we still have our fallback in here. So this way, if we go part 4, we see that we have just the success here. The error is being handled like inside app.vue. So like our city component doesn't care that much how the error is going to be handled. It just like throws the error. And if we come here, okay, we have the loading. We have like success as we were expecting. And if we go somewhere like a random like city that throws an error, we have like the error state. So exactly what we expected. Before, if you want to go like before like the first time I played with like Suspense, you could do something like this, create like a Suspense component where you could have like Suspense with error. So it would live inside one single component, this logic, and then you could have something like this. Then you could use like Suspense with error, like the default template, the fallback template, and the error template. due to the recent changes, it doesn't work as simple as that anymore. So you can use as shown here, but I expect some like proper error handling coming before like 3.1 to the API. Okay, that's how we're gonna handle errors. So now we have like our app working using Suspense to handle like all the states. And then what we can do like now next is playing with some refactoring. So the first refactoring is like we don't need a success component anymore. That was just like an abstraction to this page component to like handle like the states. So we can get rid of the success component and have all the template here, which means we can like get rid of some code. That's like the first refactoring that we can do. And the second refactoring, as we are doing Viewtree, we can go like a bit further. It's just like a matter of taste on this one. You can use the new script setup syntax. Here's like the request for comments that you can read and comment there as well. But like what changes here is like first, as it's like that's like just another refactoring as well. As it's like a template default here, you don't need to like wrap it in like a template default tag. You can just like put your component, you just leave like your fallback, and you can use like a script setup, and you can get rid of all this exporting thing here. So everything that's imported here, like all the components that are imported, they are automatically exposed to your template. Every like reference that you create inside, for example, is also exposed to your template. And then you can use like the hooks directly, and you don't need to return. It basically like returns automatically for you by the end. I recommend you to take a look on the RFC. That there's some like details on how this transformation works. And if we go a bit further in our like page component, the city component, it has like some other things that's nice to show as well. So it had like some prop definition. How we can handle that, we can have like this props. We can use this auxiliary function here to define our props. The syntax exactly the same with the one that we had. The props are here. We can use the props inside the city weather. So like the async setup is basically the same. We just copy and use it inside, and like this script setup supports like a top level weight, for example. So it exports to make like an async setup for us. It's just like a matter of what we use inside, and it works out of the box for us. And then we have like the whole application refactored. So if we go part 6 here, I think it's part 6. Yes. So you get some warnings because script setup is still experimental. But yeah, you can already play with it. And then here we have our example loading success. We can go to our like an index route, no loading or nothing. It just renders directly. We can go to like error state, same loading, and it throws the error. So that's pretty much what we can achieve with the refactoring. The RFC is here. You can read, and then it has like some examples, and it shows exactly okay what's like compiled by the end. So that's what it looks like by the end if you get this code. And then you can see, and then it has some like nice examples, what you can do, what you cannot do, and you can reason about it and discuss this implementation. That's pretty much it from part 6. And then another thing that's just like worth mentioning, you can see here, for example, you can have multiple suspenses in like in one component. It doesn't need to be like just one suspense for each component. And also you can see that you don't need like a root level element anymore. You can have like multiple ones. That's like also part of Viewtree. I'm run out of time already. So like all in all, just to sum up, Suspense can be used to show like a fallback while async work is done in the main component. That's like the async setup thing. So you can abstract all that logic directly in the setup method. A component can have multiple suspenses. That's what I showed like last. error handling is done via on error capture hook, so you can customize it the way you want. So it's like a part of like the parent component to handle like errors, for example, if you want, just if you want, in this case, and it works nicely with like Vue router, and it's a nice option for loading a screen. For example, here I have, if I have it, no, okay, so I don't have it. Like it was another example with this example here, where I have like routing and the routing to yeah, this is like the example, and you can see here I have like another route, and this is like the loading screen is handled like on the top level, so on the top view. Next trip we'll use like Suspense to handle to have something similar. You can watch this from Vue Toronto where they mention it, so it's on its way, and you can find this the slides on this URL, or you can also find me on Twitter. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinicius. Great presentation. First of all, I'm sorry, guys, about the issues that we had in the middle of the presentation. I think someone was trying to trick us a little bit along the way. I think we have the problem fixed, but it wasn't much expected, let's say. Anyway, I would like to open a space for some questions for you guys, for Vinicius. So if anyone has a question, please just unmute yourself and make the question directly to him. Any questions? Okay, let me kick off with one. Vinicius, have you been using? I mean, how stable is Suspense? I think it's not a very recent thing, right? So how stable do you think that library is? And would you recommend it, or do you use it often in production environments?
Okay, that's yeah, that's a good one. Well, as I mentioned, like in the beginning, it's still not like finalized the API, so I definitely do not recommend using it in production. As I said, I did this, for example, this repo, or when was it? Okay, June, for example, was like my last commit here, and the API was like a bit different already. So I do not recommend using it like in production. But it's something nice to know that it's coming. It's not like people don't talk about it that much. I think folks that have played with like React might be familiar with that. There's like a similar concept there. So and I think in React it's quite popular. So I can imagine that like in Vue it will be popular as well. But I definitely recommend you to like if you're gonna kickstart like a Viewtree project to like play a bit with it. I think it's like a nice opportunity to like try those like new features and then think about like, okay, how you could like structure one application with that. And as I said, like my main thing, the main thing that I like about it is like having a kind of standard way of having this async handling of loading states and so on. And then go from it. So I see like a lot of room for once it's like the API is finalized to definitely use it. And as I mentioned, like other libraries will use it as well. So just
okay.
like keep an eye. Let's put it like that.
Okay. Okay. There is actually a comment here. Someone saying that's been using Suspense since started working with Vue. Sometimes with some stuff it works, with others it doesn't. So, but it looks cool. Okay. Anybody has any other question to Vinicius? No. So I think we are good to go to the next talk. Vinicius, thank you very much for your time and collaboration with us. I would like now to ask Carlos from Vue Core Team to share about a Vue developer experience in Viewtree. Go ahead, Carlos. You're muted.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was having a few issues with that. Thank you very much, Fabio, for inviting me to this talk. I'm Carlos. I'm actually from a city near Porto, so I'm quite excited to come here and do the talk. I also want to thank Vinicius for the great talk. So I'm Carlos Rodrigues. My handle is Picas on GitHub, and you can follow me on Twitter as Picas_dev. I'm a consultant here in London and also part of the Vue Core Team member. I support, I'm the maintainer, one of the maintainers for the Composition API plugin for the Vue 2. And I also do a lot of Vue 3 TypeScript fixes for the Vue 3 and for the other core libraries. So first, let's start with what's the developer experience. Developer experience is equivalent to UX, but for developers. So basically, it's how good do you interact with the library or the tool as a developer. So, and this basically, we can break it down in 4 key principles as clarity as how intuitive is the tool, or how easy it is to use, stability, and what functions does it provide. So these are the 4 core topics for the UX. I'm going to be straightforward here. I'm not going to talk about them specifically. I'm going to talk about tools and how the Vue 3 going to open up new ways for us to develop in Vue and it's going to optimize our workflow. So because the key issues on using Vue is the tooling is not great. So stability-wise and the functions and easy of use, they work. Options API is really clear and easy to use and stable. And it functions, but there are some tooling that are necessary, especially on the VS Code, the IDE. That's the main point that I'm going to talk about. So the Vue 3 is going to bring some huge developer experience improvements, and this is all in the works already. Just bear in mind that this is really preview phase, so it's not ready for production, not at all. It's more for us to see what capabilities and what the future awaits for us using Vue 3. So Vue 3 brings the new dev tools that was rewritten to work on the Vue. It supports multi-app since the Vue 3 is multi-app capable, so you can create as many apps as you want, assigned to as many document elements that you want, or div elements as you want. It allows you to expand using custom inspectors, allows you to toggle the timeline to insert some events as well. So this is a custom inspector for the Vue router. So this is all library driven. So basically you can just copy paste this code that Vue router is using, and you can just implement with your library and just do whatever you think that it's going to bring a good tool for your product or for your organization. The timeline will record events. So for example, in this case, we have a different timeline event. So usually on the Vue 2, you get like the stacked list of events. In here, there's a nicer event timeline display. It's also on the works. This is with the beta. You can only access this with the beta for the Vue tools beta. And this is changing quite a lot. So feedback is always useful. You can just download it on the Chrome extensions and just try it out and just provide feedback. That's going to be really useful. So yeah, so you can extend, as I explained, you can have bespoke inspectors, timeline events, etc. It's really good. So the next thing that the Vue3 brings is the VIT. And it's pronounced VIT, not VIT, just make sure that everyone knows about it. And so what is VIT? VIT is just a new web dev tool built by Evan that instead of compiling your code for the web, it's just using the ESM modules. So it's more future, and there's no compilation basically for you when you dev, and that would just improve quite a lot of your time. So instead of you doing a yarn dev or npm run dev and wait for 30 seconds, 1 minute, you can just do that and just wait 3 seconds or whatever it takes. So it's lightning fast. It has a like instant module replacement through on-demand compilation. So basically, if you have 1,000 files, 1,000 components on your app, and you open the index page, and the index page contains 20 elements, it's gonna only compile those 20 elements. The other ones, they are compiled as just in time, basically. Also, it uses ESBuild for the TypeScript support, and ESBuild is so much faster than the traditional TypeScript compiler. But how fast it is, how fast Vite is, I must say it's pretty fast. So here there's an example that I'm just installing and just run Vite on my local, and I just ran the dependencies. So I just basically yarn install, after create like a Vite app, and it's installing. So okay, done. I just run yarn dev and done. I'm ready to develop my newly created app. And this roughly takes about 40 seconds on the like just fresh install. So it's pretty quick for you to start developing. But yeah, so this is a really easy, like the starting app. It's not like a benchmark at all. So, you know, you shouldn't be impressed with this. So let's see one of the, for example, the Vue router, not this one actually. So let's see how the Vue router, because Vue router is using the docs with Vite. So if we yarn dev, so I'm gonna open this localhost here, actually yarn docs, and it's listening, so it's ready. That's it. So now we have already the documentation for the Vue router, what's live for the new one. And let's see the composition API. There's one guide here for, let's just change. Let's make a change to see how fast this is. Let's see, should have advanced. Guide, okay, I think it's this one. So I'm here, and how fast, if I add something, you know, it's instant. And bear in mind, this is running is converting this empty file into a Vue component and just auto module reloaded, and that's how fast it is. So if I change something, so it's pretty much instant, and this improves quite a lot of your dev time because it's true, it's fast. So basically when you run, so how this works is every request, every dependency gets passed to the browser. And this might look a bit concerning if you have thousands of objects, but let's be realistic. Usually you're gonna have like an SSD on your machine, so your file access should be really quick. So usually, because this is local, the times are really not that much of an issue. So 10 milliseconds to run the app is really quick. And I think Vite is going to bring a lot of, in the future, it's going to bring a lot of nice changes to the development workflow, because the advantage that this brings in the performance, and it is really a new way for you to develop, and also supports not compatible framework, not compatible libraries. Even if the library doesn't have the ESM, sometimes Vite can work with it by compiling before it uses. It's released on version 1.0, but it's still something that it's been working on. So moving on, other thing that also brings a lot of changes on Viewtree is the TypeScript support. So the Vue 2 had some typings, and most of the time you will be fighting against the typings on the Vue 2. But the way that the Vue 3 is built from the top, from the ground up with TypeScript, allows us to just have a much nicer experience, a much better experience with TypeScript. And this will enhance even the TypeScript, JavaScript code. So for example, here on this video, I just created like a JavaScript file. I created a component, and you have the data. So you could also have this in the Vue 2 because the types, they also support that. But in the Vue 3, it's much more easy for us to maintain. There are still a few limitations, but it's not really in Vue. It's more with TypeScript, and the team, we are waiting for those issues to be sorted, and we're gonna update accordingly. There's one co-PR that I created to have the emit events, to have auto-completion on emit events. That will be, I think, will be pretty cool to have it. So other ways that the Vue 3 improves is with the addition of the composition API. And the composition API allows us to do a lot of things and improves the DX quite significantly. And you have better separation of code, you have code composition, and you have amazing TypeScript support. And this TypeScript support, it's amazing because the composition API is just a bunch of functions, so there's no magic in there. So when you use the options API, there's somewhat some magic. When you define a computed, that computed property is going to be converted to a computed inside of the VM and then being exposed by that property. So there's some magic that it's harder to explain in TypeScript. For example, there's one limitation that you cannot access this inside of a method and returning from the type from this because it can change the type. So that limitation on TypeScript is with the options API. They still remain on the Vue 3, but it's a limitation on the TypeScript itself, not on the Vue types, because the Vue types are explaining it correctly to TypeScript. Just TypeScript has some limitations on that matters. And one thing that's really hard for Vue to be comparable with, for example, React or Angular, the Vue contains a single file component, and single file component is tricky for TypeScript because it's not really JavaScript or TypeScript. It's a bunch of different languages. You on the template, you have block with a HTML-based syntax. You have Pug. On the script block, you can have JavaScript, TypeScript, CoffeeScript. If you have another loader, you can have other loaders as you please. Also in style, you can also have bespoke blocks. So, excuse me. So it's really tricky for the IDE and even the TypeScript or even the build tools to add some meaningful information about it, because they need to be parsed, they need to be understood, and the tools need to understand the file. And that's the big issue. You can boil down every DX issue on the Vue to SFS, SFC file, single file components, because they are quite unique. And there's some currently the TypeScript, it's opened up a bit more for us to improve, and there's some tools. One specifically is Vue Developer Experience from Rome. And that's what I'm going to show off today. It's in preview, so it's really, really better. I've been playing around with it. It works nice, but it's not at Viewtree level. But yeah, so it's really good. So, for example, this is on the left. This is how it looks on the Visual Studio. If you don't have Viewtree enabled, you don't see anything. You just Visual Studio doesn't understand that file. On the right, you can see the Viewtree installed, and you can have like some type information already on the template. The types on the script side, you can also have some auto completion, and so forth. So on improvements, so the Viewtree, everyone knows, everyone that uses Visual Studio Code is the must-have extension, and that was it's a great work done. Some limitations on the TypeScript validations that the Vue developer experience tackles, and they have different approaches, and we will see going forward how it's if they're going to be merged, how it's going to behave. But this is like a glimpse on the future. So this is the feature. You know, with Vue.dx, it opened up some possibilities. For example, this is a test file. As you can see here, the increment is a Vue file. I just imported. I just mount the increment. Let's just ignore this fix SFC type. There was a bug yesterday, and I couldn't make this work. So I needed to hack a bit around. But yeah, so basically you just mount from the Vue test utils, you pass the props, and then you can access the actual type on the value. And as you can see here, the type is a number. And I'm going to show this example and this repo. This repo is already up online, and you can check it on the github.com/pika/Vue.dx So you need to install some extensions. Just bear in mind that they don't play nice with Viewtree because they are accessing some same methods on the TypeScript. So they don't really play nice together. So I would recommend you to disable Viewtree for now. Try this out and just enable again Viewtree, just for you to see a glimpse on the future for 2021. You can see the repo here, and we're gonna have a brighter 2021. So the libraries will catch up. So at the moment, the Vue 3 is a bit not being used because the main libraries, Vuetify, Quasar, Nux, they are not yet ported to Vue 3. And because Vue 3 is still changing, so for example, as Vinicius said, the Suspense is still being talked about it. And there's some other ways that the setup sugar has been also discussed to improve the developer experience for the composition API. And you're going to have better TypeScript support because TypeScript is still evolving. So every time there's a new release, we try to update and to see what can we improve on the Vue side. Now the tooling is going to be also better. More tooling is going to come as soon as people start seeing the possibilities on how they can extract types from the Vue and stuff like that. I believe that's going to be really interesting. So let me show you the example that I was playing around. So we have this. So this is exactly the example that I was showing. You have like increment. If you hover, you can have the type from the increment. You can go to the file, and let's create a new one. Type test Porto. Let's assign this to an object, and an object as let's define one string. So we say this. Now we go here. So now props is already asking for the test portal, so we can have access here to the thing, and then you can just say, if we assign to a number, you're gonna say as a TypeScript fashion, this is gonna be it's gonna be like an issue. TypeScript errors are not really the best ones. So, but what this intends is, what this means is, infer the type. So this expects a specific type in here that cannot be inferred. And if you change this to a correct type, to A11, a number, and B it's a DDD. I guess, let me see. Yes, 3Ds. Still complaining, TypeScript. There's still a few bugs in here and there, so just bear in mind that. Let's just do this. Let's do wrapper, PM, and then you're gonna test Porto, and you can have access to the type. Can be undefined. Let's go to V. Let's go to V like slice. So yeah, the full type support here. So it's up to you how we're gonna use it. You have access to the correct type, to the BM type, so it's validated. Currently, there's an issue on the tooling, on the Vue developer experience, that these types, they are not really passed to the at runtime. So the TypeScript compiler doesn't know about them. It should. So it's actually a bug currently. So if you run yarn-jest just to test this, they should pass where they shouldn't, because there's a type error. So the TypeScript should just start complaining. This is just another issue. So there's some kinks that needs to be fixed before this being useful. But for example, this is options API. It supports on the composition API. So I have the composition API example here. Just very simple. They have like I'm using a Vue composable utility library that I'm the creator. So basically, this just handles the on change props value. It updates. So this just prevents you to use the V model. Like you don't need to use emit, basically. So on change, you should be able to do emit model value, and then you pass the new value here. This is just for you to handle the input, to change the properties. But currently, it's just this is just to help on that. So yeah, so you can now just this is just composition API. I don't want to go inside of a composition API because that's not the purpose of this. But this is just to show off that even though that's a Vue template Vue file, you can still extract the types, and you can still access the VM. I think this one is click and click. This returns a number, but this can return other thing to a equals number. If it returns that, now this you can access to the A. So in theory, and hopefully next year, this is going to be able to typically check your unit tests. And this is just one example that you can check the Vue.Vue file, but the possibilities are much greater than this. You can just also import from app, for example. I have this app. So this is this error. This V model is not really supported yet in the Vue.dx. So that's why they have some issues here. But you have access to test Porto, for example. This. Now you can just see, and you have B. So this is still work in progress. So expect some of the issues, they need to be fixed. For example, I'm using auto formatter, and there's no auto formatter here as we have it in Viewtree. So yeah, so there's a lot of still. This is a preview phase, but this is just to show up the capabilities of it. And next year, I'm sure that it's going to be a big year for Vue, where we're going to have much better tooling and everything. Is just I expect the the developer experiences as a developer when you interact with Vue is going to be much, much better. And that's it for me. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey, Carlos. Thank you. Thank you very much for this great talk. I would like to open to some questions to you guys. So if you have any questions to Carlos, please unmute and ask directly to him.
I actually have one, if I may.
For sure.
So did I get it right? You said that you developed the package for the composition API for Vue 2?
No, I didn't develop. I'm one of the maintainers. So currently we
okay.
have maintainers. It's me and Anfo.
Okay, so my question was actually regarding that. So in this case, I'm actually considering using that on a recent project, and just to prepare for a future migration for Viewtree. And I was wondering if that's actually a good idea. How stable it is to be using a composition API package on the Vue 2 project.
So I use actually the Vue composition API on the production project with success, and actually my current project, I'm actually moving to the composition API because it's going to help a lot on some of my issues that I'm having. As if I recommend you to use, so first you need to understand that this is a learning curve. So you need to, if it's like on your company that you are working, you need to discuss with your peers to see if it's a good approach, if you really need that. So the composition API, it mainly tackles the large applications when you have when you need to reuse code across multiple components, and you don't really need to describe per component, like, you know, it's more like a composition of functions. So if you can describe, and if you think that's gonna bring like some improvements to your workflow, yes, I would definitely recommend. Just bear in mind that there's some limitations on the Vue 2.6 that it doesn't work exactly as Vue 3. So the experience I'm using composition API in Vue 3, it's much better than the Vue 2 because of the behavior and some limitations of Vue 2. For example, when you use a reactive on an object, Vue 2 is going to mutate that object to be observable. On the Vue 3, you don't have that. So what's going to happen is you're going to create like a large object with a lot of refs and everything. And as soon as you create like that nested refs and you assign to a reactive, that is going to be converting all the refs to non-refs objects. So
that's under the hood, right? Under the hood, it converts to an observable. So
yeah.
In the end, if I want to export from the Vue 2 composition API to Vue 3, it should be easily the same, I guess.
Yes. So aside from the limitations, there's some limitations that we cannot tackle at the moment with because the plugin currently is built on top of the Vue 2, and it contains all the limitations of it. So there's no, for example, you could create the plugin that does the same thing without being part. We don't have access to any internal functions basically on the plugin.
Yeah, sure. Okay, but I think I got the answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tadeu. Any more questions?
Hi, this is Manu from India. I'm quite new to Vue.js, and I have one entry-level question, maybe.
Sure.
So, in early few minutes of your talk, you talked about support for multi-app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my question is, what problem are we trying to solve with this multi-app support? In what kind of scenarios we need to set up multiple apps for a single project?
Okay, so actually, if you don't need multiple apps, you shouldn't use multiple apps. Basically, the multiple apps are it's a way for to tackle the micro websites. So it's been like from like a couple of years now, the micro website approach came quite trendy, and the Vue, because the Vue, how it works, he has like one instance, one singleton for your whole app. You cannot have like multiple configurations for multiple apps and multiple microsites like that easily.
Okay. Typical scenarios where there is hardly any, or there is almost zero communication between different logical components of a website. There we can go for micro websites and then different apps there.
Yeah, that depends on the company, and if the micro website approach makes sense. So there's a lot of discussion online, and if it is worth it or not, that's not it's not for the Vue to say to the users to say no, don't use that because there's no point. It's just there's a functionality you can use if you need to. You don't need to, but it's there. So
okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. So do you have any more questions?
I actually have one more.
Okay, to do. Go ahead.
So considering the current state of Vue, which is largely growing and it's becoming really, really strong, there's been a scenario where some companies are actually migrating from old projects to Vue. So let's imagine a scenario that this could actually be related to the previous question. So let's imagine a scenario that we're doing a porting from, let's say, an Angular project to Vue. What would be the best approach to do it? And if in Vue 2 or Vue 3, so for example, you say that Vue 3 support this more microservices approaches compared to Vue 2. So what would be a good approach for such thing, and compare it between Vue 2 and Vue 3, if you could?
Yeah, sure. You mentioned microservices. I'm not sure if I said microservice before, but microservice and micro front ends are different. So if I said microservice before, I actually meant micro front ends. They are different. As for your questions, so there's many ways for you to tackle that problem. If you want to port your Angular app to Vue, you can start by, you can even do it in Vue. I would recommend, and I never done it, but I heard people and I heard a successful experience by porting just like parts of the website, just because of the way that Vue works, even with Vue. You can just append to HTML element. So on your Angular app, imagine that you need to be the module that handles text messages. You just create like an empty div element on your Angular and just say, Vue, create a new Vue app on this element. And then you can just pass by props, pass attributes to just manage and how you're going to do that. That's another issue altogether, but that's the way that I would do it. I would just start porting like progressively. So that's one of the mottos of the Vue 2 is a progressive web app. It's a progressive framework, So I would start small and just improving and start building your components. You could start with Vue 3 if you don't need any third-party libraries like Viewtify or those big libraries. If you don't need them, I would recommend start with Vue 3 because it's here to stay, so it's gonna get better. There's still a few issues, just for example the suspense, but you don't really need to use those. So and you have first-class composition API support. That's much better than the Vue 2.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have any more questions? No. Okay, Carlos, thank you very much for your presentation and for your time. I would like just to ask everyone to keep on the call, okay? Because we are going to draw the winner for the 1-year license of Vue Mastery, okay? So I would like to call Carlos to join us, okay? Because he will be the one who will make the draw. Carlos?
Hi, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this talk. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so these are the contestants, okay? You can check if your name is on this list. And I'm going to use the random number generator to select the winner. Are you guys ready?
Can you pre-select 24?
Okay, I will try it. Let's see what you got. Okay, fingers crossed, here we go. And the winner is number 9, which is Fatima. Fatima, congratulations. I don't know if you can hear us, Fatima. Yes, can you hear us?
Is she on the call?
She was just a while ago. So...
She's replying on chat. She's replying on chat.
Okay, great. Great. Just tell me your email, okay, Fatima? I will ask you for in the instant messages, and we will send the license to your email. Okay, congratulations, Fatima. Thank you for being here with us.
Okay, so her micro is not working at this moment. Okay, so Fatima, if you want, just keep with us in the call until the end, after everybody leaves, so we can exchange your email and send you the license to you. Okay.
Yeah,
so guys,
I'm already in touch with her.
Okay, great, Carlos. Thank you very much. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this event. We will try to have other gifts in other events if you're interested to. Don't forget that you have our Slack channel available, so you can join us and make any questions there to us. And expect to be back on 2021 with new speakers. We already have some people scheduled for January and I guess February as well. So I'm more than excited to see how it will go for the next year, and hopefully we will be able to in 2021 to make these events physically again, okay, in some space, in some company, and grab some beer and talk with each other, okay, because we've been working remotely for a long time, and I'm already missing some talk live with you guys, okay. So let's hope that everything will go for the best in 2021, and we can move this event from remote to a more physical matter. I hope you enjoyed both talks, and if we don't see it before that time, I would like to wish to all of you a very good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, okay? And let's hope next year we will be here again celebrating our 2nd anniversary, and with more people, more guests, and more knowledge to share between us. Okay, guys? Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.
Ciao, thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you so much, guys. Fatima, we really need you probably speak Portuguese, but yeah, sim. Olá, Fátima, deves, por favor, enviar-me o teu e-mail para podermos partilhar com a Vue Mastery e eles poderem conceder-te a oferta, sim? Já tenho aqui. Boa. Obrigado, Fátima.
Tens tudo, Carlos?
Tenho sim.
Ok.
Deixo o e-mail contigo, Fábio.
Manda-me um e-mail para mim, sim, por favor, para eu poder falar diretamente com a pessoa com quem falei.
Boa. É isso.
Os nossos convidados já saíram, certo?
Já sim.
Pronto, de qualquer maneira, Carlos, depois fala com eles, ok? E dá-lhe o agradecimento outra vez, nunca é demais reforçar, ok?
Claro
pela participação. Opa, e pede desculpa ali por aquele acidente de percurso, ok? Que houve ali, que não estava nada à espera.
Espera aí. Esqueci-me de terminar a stream.